put up your hands, and hopefully some of you will get a chance to be heard. Now, when I say question, it's a single sentence. It ends with a question mark. Opinions we treasure, but for the present refrigerated. Subba Reddy, can we start with the gentleman right under the mic, because I saw his hand go up first. Just 1 minute before you ask. Yes.
Rana, firstly, amazing book. I read around 50 pages of it.
Question.
How would you deal with the trolls, because they do get really verbally violent online?
Well, I think now they've begun to humor me. So when I have nothing else to do, I go on my interactions page. They are so cliched. They call me a prostitute every day. They abuse me. I wonder if they can get a little novel in their ideas and just try to do something else to do for a living. And honestly, I don't blame them. They're a paid syndicate. They're paid to do this job, so I don't really blame them. They're not against Rana, you personally. They're against the person and her ideology and her quest for justice, so I just leave them at that.
Two questions. I'll try and keep them one center. Number one, how do we buy the book if we can't come to a location where you're actually selling it?
It's right here.
Yeah. Do you have any...
That's Subba Reddy. He will be the right person.
I couldn't find it on Amazon. Anyway, that is one. The other thing is, what is the picture about?
It was designed by somebody who has known me since college. She's a photographer and art designer. And it was, according to her, it has many meanings. And I asked her to... I told her that I have to be either a fly on the wall or it has to be something dark. So the lizard also implies something very slimy. A powerful person is trying to eat the fly. It also implies that a lizard is in search of the truth, is trying to get into this dark thing inside. She does not know what lies inside. It's dark, she knows that, but she does not know what lies ahead. There are many, it has many meanings. It's the way you perceive it.
Yes, Sarita?
Rana, I have two or three
Here, down here.
Yeah, I know it. Hey, guys, can you...
Yeah, you don't have to see you, Sarita.
Can I stand there? And everyone will make things easier, right?
I can just stand.
No, I'll stand.
I have two or three very specific questions.
Ask one, Sarita.
I will make it very quick. They'll take
Go ahead.
30 seconds. One, do you have an answer on why Sohrabuddin was killed, not how he was killed? Two, there is a mention in your notebook of 40 or 100 odd calls made by a journalist to Banzara or to Amit Shah. There is a mention of it. I'm sorry, I can't reach the page in your book.
They mentioned Amit Shah calling up Banzara and the other people.
No, and of a journalist calling, of a call from journalist. I will forward the link to you. Okay, who was this journalist? And three, the call records that you're talking of. Now, there is a list that is published in Tehelka already, which Tehelka has given to the Supreme Court. Other than that, are there any other call records that Tehelka or you are sitting on that can be accessed by anybody in the public domain, which is already out there, or they other than the public domain call records that somebody is sitting on?
When I first got the call records, they were in the form of CD, raw data, so I had to basically cull out the stuff. I got them in the middle of the night, at 3 in the night at a dargah, where a topmost officer from Gujarat handed it to me. That was the first time I broke the Amit Shah story, in which I'm not sure if there's a journalist who has called him, but see, as a matter of protocol, Amit Shah was a junior minister of state, so I don't think 100 calls would have been made by a journalist on a specific day. The calls were made around the same time as the encounter. So we were looking at the time of encounter. So when Sohrabuddin was killed, when Kausar B was killed, his wife was killed 2 days later after he was killed, and her body, and she was raped, incinerated, and her ashes were thrown off. Around the same time that this was happening, Amit Shah, the Home Minister, and the CD was given by me to the Supreme Court, which asked for the evidence. There was a trail. In a span of 2 days, he made 170 calls to a junior officer. Home Minister would never speak, and the junior officer was with Sohrabuddin at that point of time. So that's the trail of call records, which the Supreme Court has accepted as evidence.
That's fine, yeah.
Sorry?
That's
Pandian, sir, Pandian, Panchayat, there is a long list of officers. It's not just Pandian, there are about 8 officers. So I think all the call records have been handed over to the Supreme Court. What has not been handed has been, the Supreme Court has been handed over to the CBI, because at the end of the day, I do not have the apparatus to kind of cull every bit of record. I don't have the MTNL or BSNL directory to match the phone numbers, which is why the phone call records have been handed over to the CBI.
We'll go up the balcony.
You said you'll make the files public. You haven't made it yet, though.
Well, you get me a lawyer, I'll certainly make the files public. But see, it's very easy to say that why don't you make the files public? It's easier said than done, because the moment I do that, I'm standing as a free person here. Tomorrow you won't see me, because there will be 1,000 cases that will be slapped against me, including criminal intimidation, criminal trespassing, etc. The logical way out of this is, first the SIT should ask Tehelka, which is the rightful owner of the tape, to hand over the tape. There is a protocol in which things are to be followed. The lawyer, the SIT or the court takes suo moto, notice of this and asks Tehelka, which is the original owner of this tape. If I hand over the tapes to the SIT, I don't know what happens of it. I'm an independent journalist. I don't have the apparatus of me to understand or figure where does the tape go next. There has to be an independent inquiry into this, and then I will hand over the tapes. It's easier to put it on YouTube. It will take me just about 2 minutes to put it on YouTube. But where will it lead? It will lead to audiences watching it and the TRPs increasing. That happens day in, day out. That's not the purpose of the tapes. So I'm not doing that yet. But the moment the SIT comes in, I want them to ask Tehelka for the tapes, and of course I have a copy. I'll be more than happy. The moment SIT comes in, the next minute they have the tapes with them. So there's no hesitation on my part to hand it over to them.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So one of my questions have been answered. You said you had a, sorry, I've only been through halfway through your book, but I understand that you did have a meeting with Modi, right? Why didn't you continue later, independently? I understand that Tehelka, took its hands off. Was it financial problems, or you were so close, you could have
You're
gone further?
working with an organization, you cannot, when you have done an entire sting operation for them, you're legally bound by a contract. And when the editor says no, and if I go and meet Modi, what if the editor calls up Narendra Modi and says somebody is going to come and sting you? There are 1,000 probabilities which can arise. A 26-year-old has a lot on her platter to think about, and it was the easiest thing for me to go and sting Narendra Modi again. It was a huge desire to do that. I would have loved to have him. He invited me the following Sunday for a lunch, and I was itching to go for the lunch, and Tarun and Shoma said, come back, you're not going back again. As a 26-year-old who has had about 14 hours of tape in her custody, which she has handed over to Tehelka, she cannot let go all of that for one meeting with Narendra Modi. That would have been very promising, but I really could not. That's a call you have to take.
Next question to the lady here.
So one question was certainly that why did you go to that meeting with Bhav sir? But I do have one more question on the publishing of the book. Couldn't you look at options of crowdfunding, or some options of getting this book much earlier, because it would have had certainly a great impact on 2014 elections? Do you think that this delay has really you have lost an opportunity to send the guy, the Sahib, behind the bars?
In 2014 April, 3 mainstream political parties told me, I don't want to name them, but 3 mainstream political parties in India said that they knew that the book was pulp and they wanted to take a press conference with me. But trust me, all of you sitting here, if I had done this in 2014, would have accused me of political motivation of playing in the hands of the Congress. Mind you, this was not a political work. Sorry, no. 2007, Tehelka did a sting operation on Babu Bajrangi. Immediately after, when Narendra Modi won the election, there were 2 allegations against Tehelka. One, it was a Congress-funded allegation. Second, that the BJP did it. At the end of the day, there was no justice. We have seen it all. I come from an organization where sting operation is considered its forte. And let me tell you that the publication with whom I had a contract pulled out of the contract in 2014. In 2014 Jan, I went to the largest circulating newspaper in the country saying, these are the transcripts, publish them if the book is not to be published. They said, we do not believe in the concept of sting. I went to 12 newspapers across the country, every possible news channel, they said, we do not believe in the concept of a sting operation. Now, if I had taken a press conference with the Congress or the Aam Aadmi Party, you know what would have happened to the subject, the matter on hand, the tapes on hand. Political motivation would have been the first charge leveled against it without even looking at it in an independent manner. You have to understand that when an independent journalist, when a journalist who has conducted a sting operation, God forbid, I would not want any journalist to go undercover. After my experience, I would not want anyone to go undercover. You have to understand the perils and the psychological and the kind of strategy that person has to play, especially when he or she is a lone soldier. I remember a political party called me to say, take a press conference, but if Modi comes to power, despite these states in May, we do not assure you any protection. You tell me, if I had published this in April 2014, May 2014, and Modi would still have come to power, you would not have been able to see me now. I would have been behind bars then and there. That there are reasons. There are reasons that the book does not get published at a time like this. For instance, I was asked to publish this book before Bihar elections. I did not want to do that. You have to understand it's not a political book. It is a journalistic effort. And this book, this book was supposed to be published on the 12th of May. I said, no, there are 5 states going to polls. This is the last phase of polling. I am not going to give them even one opportunity to label this as a work of a political nexus. Till date, 1 month since the publication of this book, not one political party, for that matter, not a single member of the BJP has made any allegation against me. None of the officers who I have stung have actually come out to say that no, we didn't meet her or no, we didn't say this to her. That's because I've stuck by the truth in the last 6 years. I've stuck by my journalistic principles in the last 6 years and not been co-opted by any political party.
Mr. Basu.
Hi Rana, I am Bhaskar, senior journalist. As senior journalist, I am telling you, you are inspiration to all senior and junior journalists.
Thank you so much, sir.
Intellectuals and all the teachers and who were appropriated by the state. In Telugu media also, there is no reviews of interviews or any news items of your book in all the mainstream Telugu media. I am the only person who wrote in left media. I gave you copy, I gave you printout copy. Telugu media also blocked your book. That I am informing you. All the mainstream Telugu media, all the people knows. I worked in the largest circulated Telugu newspaper in Andhra Pradesh.
Now question.
Next question is to bring justice bandwagon to work आगे justice आपको आगे लेने जाने के लिए एक बिल डाल के सुप्रीम कोर्ट को आपके सुप्रीम कोर्ट को दिया तो जस्टिस होता है because all the cases against Modi and Amit Shah
To answer to your first
why
comment,
don't
please,
you do that?
if it makes you feel any better, I was in Gujarat 4 days ago and the journalist said, but what's new in this? We all knew this. I said, why didn't you talk about this all this while then? He said, we were on all the off-record conversations, officer would tell us. I said, in that case, the fact that it's been 1 month since my book is out and you guys have not even written a sentence that goes to say something. So don't worry, this is not, in case the Telugu newspapers have not covered it, Gujarati newspapers are not far behind. In fact, they should have taken the lead in publishing contents of the book. They have not. I guess it's a turf war that an outsider has come and covered something that we have all known. And trust me, there's nothing in this book where journalists in this country, mainstream journalists, have not known of the record. All of us knew, it's just that for the first time we have it from the horse's mouth. Second thing about the PIL, yes, we are considering that as an option. I have a human rights activist turned lawyer who's approached me for this. Another week or so, and if there is no action by the SIT, we are trying as much as possible, then I will certainly knock the doors of the Supreme Court.
Two things, Rana, before you take the next question. I think Sarita has a feeling you've not answered her question on who killed.
So Rabhuti, I think the Supreme Court has already answered that bit. The Supreme Court,
Why?
it said there's a larger conspiracy which needs to be investigated. Now there are various links that come to it. One, whether he was a conduit for Chudasama and Amit Shah in the money laundering business, or whether he was involved in the Harin Pandya murder. There are various conspiracies. As yet, the Supreme Court, we have to blame the CBI. It has been investigating this case since 2010, and the case has not reached its logical conclusion. So why I can give you my hunch, but on a public forum, I think it will be extremely inappropriate considering the matter is sub judice. So it will be, this is something that we can discuss later at some point.
Mohammed, you had a question? You had
No, I have.
Go ahead.
Very quickly, Rana from Old Hyderabad, I congratulate you for your courageous work. And I have a question. Your book talks about the institutional bias, police bias, and the white beard man and black beard man are now in Delhi. Do you think that the legacy of the institutional bias have been stripped to Delhi now?
See what happened yesterday, Times of India wrote a story that Rana Ayub's book on Gujarat files, where she talks about a use and throw policy, is now being practiced in Delhi, where Narendra Modi uses Subramaniam Swamy to attack Raghuram Rajan and then disposes him off. I don't know if that is a tacit agreement. Subramaniam Swamy has done is grudgingly agreed to that kind of. But yes, I do see that happening, and trust me, it's not a Gujarat-related phenomena itself. You see that in Uttar Pradesh, you see that in Manipur, where fake encounters are the norm of the day. In this particular case, the reason why fake encounters are important and need to be spoken about is because in no other state, after a fake encounter, did a chief minister take a press conference saying, okay, these are the people whose bodies you see here are the people who are out to attack me. Nobody tried to build a political career out of dead bodies. This was Gujarat being an exception. So that was the Gujarat model that I was speaking about in the book. And the bias, yes, as most of the officers who are Dalits will say that we have been used and thrown. The Brahmin will not shoot at or kill the bodies or rape the women. It was led to the Dalit and the lower caste who will do the dirty work. Not that Brahmins don't do that, but but they are manipulated. Dalits are manipulated in various cross-section of the dispensation. Yeah.
1 minute. There's a question up from there.
Hi Rana. I really want to read your book, but I have a quick question about what you were saying earlier about Ishrat Jahan. You said you interviewed a police officer and he said that Ishrat Jahan is definitely not a terrorist. And what do you think about these recent articles that come out about David Headley, who says that she was a terrorist, and it's like...
David Headley was given a KBC-like question. So David Headley picked up the most familiar name out of it.
It was done fast forward, it's not a recent thing, it was the case that had been released much earlier.
See that, Ishrat Jahan, that the encounter...
When the Congress was in government,
I don't make any differentiation between the Congress and the BJP. For me, both are the same.
Right.
I don't seem to understand why are we making a differentiation. Okay, why Ishrat Jahan was an innocent earlier and not now? I'm sorry. As I maintain this, the Congress is as communal as the BJP with just a veneer of secularism like this for you guys to vote for them. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And in any state, if in a sting operation, in 2013 I published a sting operation conducted by one of the officers in which Chief Secretary to Narendra Modi, the Commissioner of Police and the other officers are heard and seen obfuscating the process of investigation. In any other state, the Attorney General would have been sacked at very moment. He continues to be the Additional Solicitor General of Gujarat right now. That's the Gujarat model. Unfortunately, the man, I forget his name, the man who was at that point of time in the MHA, who now goes on to say that Ishrat is a terrorist, is the same man who sits on the board of Adani's in Gujarat, and the same man who at that point of time said that Ishrat Jahan is not a terrorist and she should be given the benefit of the doubt. It's not about power, it's about Congress could have well acted on this case way back. They could have started trial in this case. Why did Congress not start a trial in this case? Why did Congress not ask for justice in Sohrabuddin case? That's the question that you should ask of the Congress. That's the question that we should ask the Congress, who's now considered the messiah of the seculars. This book has been out since 1 month. The Congress has not uttered a word about this book that says something about the secular party.
Rana, hi. When you say if this isn't evidence, are you being pessimistic about the justice in the cases of Gujarat?
I used to be pessimist till I got Amit Shah behind bars in 2010, the first serving Home Minister. There's always hope for justice, there's always scope for justice, and hopefully some eccentric police officer or investigating official will get up someday and try to make something out of it. The easiest thing is to be a pessimist and a sadist and say nothing is going to happen to this country. The toughest thing is to have hope that something could perhaps happen out of this book and the contents of this book. So I'm being an optimist here and hopeful that someday, not the Congress, but some right-thinking people, not that right, will take things in their hands and get us justice.
Rana, thanks a lot for this great, wonderful book and bold book. But I have two concerns. One is a serious concern. Given the cruelty of our adversaries, I am very much concerned about your safety and security.
This is
How-
why I keep
how-
sipping Nimbu Pani.
That's a lighter weight thing. And second concern is, why did you ask Sri Krishna to write a preface in which he himself said, nobody will be in a position to validate all that is narrated and what she believes to be the truth, when this is the truth.
No, but
And also to add to that, in Telangana, P.N. Sri Krishna has a very bad reputation. And P.N. Sri Krishna writing a preface to this book is actually a cause of
I
concern.
praise B.N. Shrikna. I mean, whether I'm not sure what's the opinion of him otherwise. I mean, as I said, we are not flawless human beings, all of us. We all have our flaws. I'm sure I have my flaws and you have your flaws, and so does Justice Sri Krishna. He's not an incarnation. Having said that, Justice Sri Krishna wrote a phenomenal report in the Mumbai riots, and the Sri Krishna Commission report, nobody can deny a flaw in it. When he has one foot out when he is writing this, is because as a former justice of the Supreme Court, his obligations towards the truth, without having seen the tape, you have to give it to him that he wrote the foreword without having even seen or heard the tapes. He went by my word and my work so far. During the commission and the inquiry of Justice Sri Krishna, I mean his own inquiry, he had officers deposing before him. Now he's writing a foreword based on officers talking to me. So he cannot take it as a final word.
Even then, that's uncharitable.
No, it's not uncharitable. I think it's very grateful, and I'm really grateful to him. I think it's very generous of him to have consented to written the foreword. And throughout, he came for the Mumbai Press Club launch, which is just 2 days ago, and in which he said that there is still hope that Rana's book will lead to justice. And for a former Chief Justice and for a Supreme Court judge to say this, and sitting in Maharashtra, I think it's a very bold decision.
I saw another hand go up somewhere there. You know, I am like the CBI. Sorry, I can only see what I want to see. There's a question here. Is there somebody hiding there? Oh, behind the camera. Come ahead.
Now, one straight question from Rana is, do you think that the victims of Gujarat and their families will they ever get justice?
I wish I had the answers. I tried my best. A lot of us have been trying our best. I mean, the fact that we could prove in a state like Gujarat with Narendra Modi and Amit Shah being at the helm of power that those 4 encounters of Sadiq Jamal, Samir Khan Pathan, Ishrat Jahan, Sohrabuddin, Tulsi Prajapati, Kausar P were fake encounters and cold-blooded murders is a ray of hope in our struggle for justice. I cannot say that, there will be justice tomorrow and all the cases will be solved. Nobody can. None of us here are superhumans. But I can assure you that most of the people that I know, journalists that I know, journalists that I love and most of you love, are trying to do their little bit to get justice to those oppressed, and especially to the people of Gujarat.
Yeah, here's it.
And were you frightened at any time of the sting of it? How frightened were you? I won't ask you how frightened.
I internalized the bit. See, the thing is, you cannot be frightened and do a sting operation like this. A drop of sweat on your forehead and your entire investigation goes bust. So, but yes, I was under psychiatric care for a long time after the investigation. And not just me, many investigators, many people who have gone undercover in the past have had to, because they live dual lives. Living Maithili Tyagi was a different person altogether. There was no shred of Rana Ayub when I was Maithili Tyagi. Rana Ayub was an Urdu-speaking individual. Maithili Tyagi was a bigoted woman who spoke Sanskrit, who spoke flawless Sanskrit. So there's a difference, yeah.
I have a question. Excuse me.
All the way back.
Sorry, can you see me?
Oh, yeah.
I have a question. Echoing this person's concern about your safety, have you taken legal opinion before bringing out the book? Because chances are you may run foul of the law, because as you said, there are hundreds of cases which are slapped on people and, when the powers that be are not exactly comfortable with what comes out here. Yeah?
One of the most high-profile Supreme Court lawyer who had seen the transcripts told me 3 days before the launch, he said, Rana, you still have time, please do not go ahead with this, because I am not going to fight your case, I have enough on my platter. And she said, trust me, you're going to go behind bars. So now I have the final laugh, but she says not for long. So you never know. You never know, and I'm living in hope that this government lives in denial and does not acknowledge the book. Also, that's not something that I want to. See, there is always scope for trouble. and they cannot, if they do not directly trouble me, they can trouble those close to me. They can trouble my family. They can slap cases against me 2-3 years later. You never know. These people do not. I mean, for them to slap a case against me now or target me is to give undue publicity to the book, which they do not want to. Right now, the reason why the BJP is silent is because any statement on this will divert attention, and the complacent television media will have to do a story on this. So I think that's one of the reasons. So I'm still hopeful that till such time that the BJP remains oblivious of this. Yeah.
Actually, I will step in here to ask you this question. Or do you think it is a governmental syndrome today? I am so powerful that nothing like this can touch me.
I wish I could say that, but Modi is too shrewd a man to say I'm so powerful that nothing can touch me. He knows that many have touched him despite the fact that he was powerful. So I think he's a shrewd administrator and he knows his work. And at this point of time, it would be harakiri for him to touch me, because it would be in a way validating the fact that what I'm saying in this book is right. So he would not want to give that chance to all of us on a platter.
Yes.
Myself, Sikandar Azam. I'm a PhD scholar from Pondicherry University. I came for this program. Rana, it is quite known to all of us that now they are ruling our nation. Okay? And it is also very difficult to expect from the judiciary and the system to get the justice. My concern is that is it possible to take this case into international criminal court? One thing. Second thing, what has happened with the Tista Salvat, which is quite known to all of us. Could you please enlighten us about the Tista Salvat, since she has also taken this case into in High Court as well as in Supreme Court. So further adding to the point which has been raised by one of the teacher here, that about your personal safety and security, which is Tista Salvat is facing nowadays. So two questions is there. One is all about the Tista Salvat, another is all about the International Criminal Court.
Well, Tista is an activist, so I am not an activist, I'm a journalist, so there we have to draw the demarcation. She's that's a different case altogether, and what you see is now already in the newspaper, so I cannot comment much on it. I do not know much of the details of the case, in the sense that I do not know about the FCRA violation. That an independent investigation will lead to. Tista could be innocent and the government could be hounding her for wrong reasons. But standing here and sitting in judgment would be doing exactly what the Gujarat government does. So I would refrain from doing that. Where I'm concerned, see, I'm a journalist and I will only go by the work that I see and I do. I have not passed any judgment in the book. Till towards the end, I have said that I have remained silent till now, or till today I have remained silent. And I'm not going to pass a moral judgment. I have not said anywhere in the book that Modi is a criminal or Amit Shah is a criminal. I have not. That's left for the discerning reader to decide. That's left for the independent inquiry, an SIT or a CBI-led inquiry to decide whether even this investigation is genuine or not. I'm asking the SIT to investigate whether what I did was genuine or fake. Please question me, please interrogate me, please investigate everything that I've done, please investigate my motive. I'm open for investigation. So, and if the government does that tomorrow, I will not cry witch hunt, because this is a logical process that happens in every sting operation. I'm open to that. The second question again about safety, I've answered. International Tribunal, well, I first have to ensure that the book reaches the readers before there is an injunction, which could have happened, which can still happen. So first I'll have to deal with my countrymen before I go to an international tribunal.
Yes. One minute, please. 1 minute. There's a question there. Yeah.
What if?
I can hear hypothetical. Yeah.
What if the BJP loses power in Gujarat? Will justice be done then?
I could turn around and say Congress was in power till 2014. Was justice done? No.
Yes. Yes.
Rana, first of all, congratulations for this book. I have gone through each and every sentence, every word. I am Zahidul Haq, Assistant Professor of Urdu in University of Hyderabad. Having totally different angle of myself, restricting to myself what Mr. Tathagat Sengupta, an Assistant Professor of the University, said here. I am having different view. I am trying to I want to know only one question, direct question. After reading this book, I have the opinion that police officers like P.C. Pandey, they are saying that police as an institution that is not biased. My question is then, what are the roles played by those police officers in the Gujarat carnage, whether directly or indirectly they are involved, they are responsible for that, number one. Number two, the underline of this book is all the officers misused by the then Sahab and his Ghulam were either OBC or scheduled caste. I am fortunate because I am saying it here in front of my one of the favorite MPs, Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi. He is here. He has given a slogan, Jai Bhim, Jai Bhim. What is the fate? What is the fate of this slogan? Or we want to have an alliance with all OBCs, SCs, minorities, underprivileges. Yes, I just want to know, when the state government has used these underprivileged, whether we are having any foresight, any reason to know that this Jai Bhim theory will work in future.
It's a very political statement, and I would not want to stick my neck out and talk about it. I would rather have a question asked as a journalist. Whether Dalits and Muslims come together, there's a consolidation. It's up to the political parties to decide what officers were doing in Gujarat. I think the implication is very clear in the book. There is a very clear undertone in the book that officers were towing the line of the government, whether by force, or whether they were doing out of choice, or whether they were lured with the prospect of a post-retirement job or a promotion. So I think that has been discussed threadbare. So I guess that answers your question.
Yeah, Vikram.
I have a question here. It is obvious to us that Modi and Amit Shah form a terrific team together, and they have done a very good job in Gujarat as a part of the teamwork. Should we be afraid?
Was that sarcasm, sir?
Yeah. Now this is serious now. Now that they are in power at the center, do you see this repeating at a larger scale? Because I see many time bombs, Ayodhya, Ram Mandir, things like that. Do you think that this combination can do some irreversible processes in polarization?
Well, there is a clear attempt at polarization, and whether it is Kairana, whether it is the killing of those who allegedly consume beef, making traders who trade in beef eat cow dung. I mean, these are small little episodes here and there, but there is an attempt to kind of communalize the situation. It's not as much communal, as much as opportunistic, because you have UP elections coming around the corner. So it's natural that Ayodhya will be discussed. It's natural that Ram Mandir will be discussed, and the construction of Ram Mandir will be discussed. And I'd be surprised if there is no communalization or polarization in the run-up to the election. That's not just the domain of the BJP. Let me tell you. That's the domain of every political party in this country. So BJP is no exception to the rule. And unfortunately, yes, what you saw in Gujarat is being translated to an extent on the national level. Of course, it's being done in a more dignified manner. Because our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, also goes to the United States and the UN and has to give speeches there. So he has to be a little more dignified and less... he was always dignified even as the Chief Minister of Gujarat.
So, Rana, one, I must compliment you. You are the bravest journalist this country has.
Very kind of you, so there are many like me.
Compliments to you. What is the underlying reason, in your view, why this book has not become the talk of the town in media, mainstream media, or amongst public intellectuals? There are only two ways in which a book as explosive as this can have an impact on eventual justice. One is